Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug, what's up?
Morning, Zach. It's
How you
Monday,
doing?
man.
It is.
You know, this past weekend was so busy going places and doing things that we didn't have time to set up Christmas. So the only time that we do have is this weekend after Thanksgiving when it's appropriate and the right time to do it. That was an undertaking, my friend. That was an undertaking to keep that on godly schedules. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing. It's amazing. It's my greatest achievement this year is holding off the tides of freaking Christmas decorations.
I'm staying out of this one. You know, it is going to be like there's cold front coming in. It's going to be nasty cold starting Friday.
Yep.
You're really going to wish you had done it in the 60s and just not turn them on.
but maybe that's what bittersweet is all about. It's going to be a little bitter out, but it's going to be sweet that I want.
Too funny. Yeah, I heard you were in the doghouse over the weekend.
Yeah, I can't think of the last time my wife watched the morning grind. Like, why would she watch the morning grind? But she watched, and there it is. I'm letting out my trade secrets as a husband, father, household, manager. She figured out the strategy based on our morning grind together, Zach. So we have to come up with some new strategies here. So
yeah, it happens. Yeah. It happens. Yeah. Typically, we're aware because she's in the background.
Yes. Yeah, she tricked me. She actually went and looked it up. So anyway, it's all good. Your marriage should be tested with challenges like this.
Generally. Yeah. We had a good weekend too. We actually celebrated Thanksgiving this weekend with my in-laws, and my daughter had a dance recital, and all the things, man, all the things.
So you'll have a second Thanksgiving on Thursday.
I will have a day of doing nothing on Thursday.
Nice. Will leftovers last till Thursday?
No, they'll be gone by tomorrow.
All right.
We didn't bring home
leftover trip.
We didn't bring home too many. So she sent some with her siblings and whatnot. But we're overcoming blockages, and not the kind you think.
You're right. Well, they feel the same
that
way.
Bad joke in.
That's right. They feel the same way though sometimes, don't they?
They do. They really do. So when we come up against these obstacles in business, we really do. We got two choices. We can face it and we can develop a plan and we can overcome it, or we can stick our heads in the sand and just hope it's all gonna go away. Only one of those actually works. So we're gonna talk about the one that works today. So
that's it.
I'll pray us up.
I will. Good morning, Lord. We come to you this day thankful to be together again here on earth. Lord, help us with our national holiday to be grateful and thankful for all that we have. Lord, this week we have customers that might be anxious and nervous, and we just pray that we can help them, serve them, comfort them, and if we can't make a solution for them, that we would be kind and compassionate. Lord God, we are coming to the end of the year with our businesses, and regardless of the situation, let's have a heart of gratitude and thankfulness. And as we speak today, Lord, about planning and strategy, may you be involved at the center of it and help us be the best stewards of our talents, time, and treasure. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So most often we just try and hide from the problems, right? Like there's not many of us that really want to go, yay, problems, right? Like it's not to normal. We try and like avoid, deflect, whatever our coping mechanism is. We try and do that instead of actually overcoming that obstacle that's in front of us. And the much better solution is to just, overcome the obstacle. So we're going to talk about that piece today. I like stories, just like Doug. So in my own life, I have a goal that I've had for a long time. And I up and down. It's with my weight, it's with fitness, like actually staying active, right? And I can go for a spurt and then I hit an obstacle and I go backwards. I go for a spurt, I hit an obstacle, I go backwards.
Mhm.
I've put the goals down on paper, but I didn't have a plan for when I faced the adversity, for when I faced a tougher challenge within it, right? And the other piece of it was introspection. I didn't understand me fully. So this year, I'm in the middle of a 60-day challenge, and I had a friend on Friday go, well, what are you going to do when challenge is over? And I went, I'm an ADHDer, ID on the disc, type A, red personality, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, I need the challenge. I need the fight. I got to create my own fight within it, my own challenge within it.
Sure.
To keep forcing myself through it. And so made a challenge with my daughter last night. I said, hey, I need to move 10,000 steps every day or 1,000 calories every day for the next 365 days. I said, are you in the challenge with me?
Mm-hmm.
We added another piece to it. And so I found a way to gamify it for myself to overcome the obstacle that I keep running up against, which is when the challenge runs out, I get bored. Just keep the challenge going.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we do that in business? What do we do when we run into an obstacle in business? What obstacle has Doug faced this year in business that you're trying to come up against? You've had a couple.
Well, I mean, there was always obstacles, I guess, right? So I think this is probably the first year that I'm not in a defensive posture, waiting for something to go wrong so that I can fix it. This is the first year that I had certain goals and metrics that we're trying to hit. And so we're focusing on them. So I don't know. I mean, we didn't really talk about this ahead of time where this was going to go, but I'll tell you something that is sort of a new feeling, a revelation for me, is that this year, what some of my blockages have been. But for me, the lens that I was looking through it from was our goal is to get to this many technicians, to get to this number of revenue. And anything that isn't working is a blockage, I guess. So I don't know, Zach. I don't know if this is going to change the direction that we're heading in, but I don't feel like past years, like the one that killed me the most, which is logical, is COVID. February, March of 2020, a whole bunch of things went south, and all I did was look for whatever I can fix. Like I need gloves and masks and hand sanitizer. And so that's where I put my energy. But then I lost 4 technicians and I didn't have a plan to put them back in place because I was still focusing on the techs that we still have and how they're processing and how the customers. So maybe that's an unusual example, but there was no plan or strategy. There was just reactivity to things that were going south. But I feel like if that were to happen again, I would have a whole different approach to it, just based on this year being the first year of a strategic goal that we're heading towards, and trying to hit that.
So let's talk about the mindset shift in that, because either of our examples, there's a mindset shift that has to happen to be able to overcome, to be able to plan, instead of just sticking our heads in the sand or digging our feet in and, feeling in that defensive posture all the time. So coming into this year, what did it feel like, or what was your thought process going into this year? Because you did create a lot more goals this year to be able to kind of logically step through this business year. What happened, or what drove that change? What mindset shift was going through you when you're like, you know what? I'm setting a plan this year instead of, putting up the gloves and trying to block the punches.
I mean, it's a lot of things. Talk about putting your head in the sand. If you just think coming to work every day and doing your best and putting out the fires as efficiently as possible and hoping to score a couple of $100 extra more than you planned, that's an exhausting life. As a matter of fact, the biggest blockages that I've had this year was when I lost motivation to stay on track with our structured set of goals and smaller goals to achieve the bigger goals. It was when I would rather binge watch Netflix for the whole weekend than continue to read and to understand business and myself better. Those are the blockages I had when I lost motivation. And so one example would be, so I use EOS, right? Traction to run our business. And part of that plan is a 3-year goal, a 1-year goal, right? Your 1-year goal ties to your 3-year goal. Now for the year, that 1-year goal, you break it down into quarters. Anything you can get done in a day, a week or two, those are your to-do things. All your to-do things, besides putting out fires and taking care of customers and your regular tasks, those things help you achieve those quarterly goals, which help you achieve the annual goal, which helps you get to that 3-year goal. Third quarter and fourth quarter, we as a leadership team, because I kind of got a little off track, put my head in the sand, get back to my old ways a little bit, zero planning, zero goals that take longer than 2 weeks, like implementing a new software that will make us more efficient. We'll put that off. And we didn't. And guess what? When we met each week as a leader over these last 8-9 weeks, it's just been ho-hum. So it's really about setting a course, kind of like when I watch you with your exercising and you've kind of got your steps and your time and your miles, you're kind of tracking all that. And if it takes if you were to just stop, there's a big, huge loss of momentum. And that's what I experienced towards the end of this year. But that's our first year, Zach. So the biggest blockages was me losing focus on the strategy, the game plan,
Yeah, I think we need those guardrails, right? Like we need those. We've talked about that before. Setting boundaries for yourself when you're setting these goals, because motivation only carries you so far, right? Like that. Yeah, I'm gonna do this is like, it's like taking some sugar, drinking some Mountain Dew, right? Like it only carries you to a point, and then the crash is pretty hard, right?
That's right.
So Friday, I had to go to the gym. The whole timing of my day got screwed up. The timing of my fasting and the timing of my working out and the timing of meeting to do a repair test and having to do another, it all got blown up, right? And it's Friday in Chicagoland. So traffic sucks. It took me an hour and 40 minutes to get from one place to the other place, which usually would take 30 minutes. And so by the time I got there, it was dark. I did my inspection, and then I'm like, I gotta go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm gonna go home. Yep, I'm gonna go home. I'll make today my rest day. It'll be fine. Put a guardrail in place. I put myself in the left lane of traffic so I couldn't get off at the exit. And I forced myself.
No choices, no options.
Yeah. I mean, there was no way. Like, by the time I could get to the right lane, I was going to be at the exit for the gym. And so I was just going to go to the gym. There was no other option. So how do we do that in business? How do we create those boundaries in business where it's like, well, I don't have a choice. I just got to keep going this path.
To Andrew's comment, I think can kind of relate and tie into what we're talking about here. Survival is definitely a feeling, and survival is definitely something that some businesses have to go into. As you're going into critical failure, that's when you're in survival mode. But what if you're thriving? What if you're busy? And what if you're working really hard and a lot of the things you put in place are bringing fruit? Like you did a couple things and it made your phone ring. And now your phone is ringing off the hook. And when you thought all my company could probably use is 2 texts or 3 texts, you just did something that shows you that you could use 5 texts or 6 texts. If you don't do anything about that, you have now created chaos for yourself because the phones are ringing. You've created opportunity, but you hadn't planned for it, or you haven't reacted and made a plan to go find the other texts. And so I guess that could feel like survival. Like, holy mackerel, I put in $5,000 of investment. Now I have this many calls and I can't lose that money. Oh my gosh, I can't lose that money. I'm going to work weekends. I'm going to work nights. That's not survival. That, for me, survival is when you're going to go out of business. Survival is when you've had a catastrophe at your business, whether it's your Google page goes down, or you're shorthanded, or you blow out your knee and you're the one and only tech. That's survival. And so what do we say when we go through those catastrophe type moments that really aren't? That means it's time to continue the path of growth. If you put money into making the phone ring, you have to know the next step is I have to then prepare to find somebody to help partner with me to take care of the customers. Right? I'm answering the phone all the time. I'm losing every 3rd or 4th call that comes through. When I call back, they found someone sooner. Maybe you might regret because you're not in the right place, frame of mind. I regret making the phone ring because I don't want to hire a CSR. I don't want to go through all that process. I don't have that time. You shouldn't have poked the bear, maybe, right? Or maybe just buckle in, hop on, and go for a ride like I did this year. Set some goals, and then I was getting whipped around this year, but it was me learning, and I'm still learning how to respond and plan for 1-2 steps ahead all the time. And it won't feel like survival then. Now you'll feel like you've got a game plan. You're looking at a schematic and you're following that schematic.
Survival becomes a mindset, at least in business, because it very rarely, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but very rarely in business do we come to a point where it is survival. That is I'm going out of business. You're backed into a corner. I got to survive, right? Like that does happen, but it's like a fraction of the spectrum, right? More often than not, it's a mindset shift. It's I got to survive. I got to make it through the day. That's in your mind. You got to kind of toughen that muscle, and maybe that's the type D in me. But you have to go,
because it's not really about toughening, because all of a sudden we find energy, Zach, right? When all of a sudden our perspective changes from, this is bad to, oh, it's not so bad. Where did this energy come from all of a sudden? To then like get it done, take care of it. So, but Toughen, that could offend a few people, Zach. You D, you're such a strong D. Jay, the owner of Action, known him since 1993. He has that survival approach to things. So everything is through the lens of, did we make it this year? And, there's nothing wrong with having healthy boundaries and recognizing that something bad could happen. But the more you plan, the more strategic you are. There's very rarely do I think that our business out of the blue will crash. Our industry isn't going to change overnight. It could change quickly, but as long as we're in tune with it, I think we can pivot and move along. Even if one day it meant in 2045 that appliance repair is dead or whatever that is, if you're watching the tea leaves ahead of time and being strategic, you would have already shifted into something else. You already have your customers in those homes. You're going to make the change. So I do get it, though. I kind of get it. I slightly get people with that survival sort of mindset. I just believe that those people are getting robbed of the victories. When you hit your goal, when you achieve where you're trying to head to, is the celebration kind of dampened a little bit? Like, yeah, we did it, man. We worked hard. We worked. We planned it. We had to do a little pivot here. We got there. And then with that survival approach, it might be. So I don't know if we can do that again, though. I hope we can do that again. I mean, I hope this lasts. I mean, it could go away tomorrow, and all of a sudden, the wind in your sail is slightly deflated. So I'm not saying be dumb and just ignore the signs, but be strategic, 2-3 steps ahead all the time. It's revealing a whole new perspective in life when you can look ahead all the time.
So you brought up along the lines of shifting our perspective. You brought up that the last these third and fourth quarter, you've run up against some goals. It's like, we'll do that later. We'll do that later. We'll do that later. So how are you going to overcome those blockages? Because that's what it is. Those are that is a blockage, whether it's mental or it's, there's some technical hurdles that you have to overcome to hit those goals. How are you going to shift your mindset, or how are you going to shift your actions to overcome these blockages that you've come up against of, we don't really need to do that. Right.
That's
right. So how are you going to shift and actually overcome that blockage?
I think you first have to diagnose what happened and why it happened. Right. So for some people, it could be stress leads to eating unhealthily, not getting sleep, canceling your hobbies and your sports, dwelling, right? That's one way, is you could not take care of your body. You cannot take care of your mind. How can you lead a company and a team if you're not in a healthy balance, right? For me, I realized that I didn't have the full team of leaders that I needed. Because, for me, in my situation, it was like, well, this is the logical next step. Let's do that. And then amongst the team, someone someone wasn't capable of stepping up to take it on. So as the guy in charge, maybe Andrew can relate to this, or you can, Zach, all of a sudden you go, never mind, I got it. I'll take that one. I'll take that task. I'll take that task. How about this? Yeah, well, I think this is what you're talking about. No, that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Now I'm not in coaching mode anymore. I'm not in teaching mode. I'm like survival mode. You know what? I'll take that one too. So now I have 9 things that really probably shouldn't be on my plate, but I'm going to take them on. And guess what I'm not going to do? Get them done in time. And so now that just gets abandoned because I've bottlenecked things. So right away, you got to find the team of people. It doesn't have to be a big team, a team that you can balance things on. And I'll tell you something, when someone on my team gets their goal, their rock completed, and the next step needs to be planned, I wouldn't have been motivated, but I'm excited that they got it done. I'm amped. I'm like, great, I'm up. I'm at bat now. All right. So here's where we're going to go with that. You and me help me divide, right? So it's great when you can tag team, you can tag in, and someone else is carrying the ball for 20 yards, and then you grab it. But when you're trying to carry that ball the length of the field, play after drive after drive after drive, you're going to get burned out. So for me, that was a problem. So we've hired one or two people to try to develop a stronger goal team, leadership team.
I love it. And the other thing that's, I mean, we talk about it all the time. You need a group of people around you, or you need a mentor, or you need both around you. So when you get in those moments, maybe that's the people that you're tagging up, right? So if you're a one-man show, but you're in a mastermind, you have people to tag up, and they can kind of lift some of that load off of you and encourage you and help you shift that mindset. I think of as I'm training in the gym. So Saturday morning, perfect example, doing a leg workout after I blew my legs out Friday night from doing some running. My trainer is there, and I'm trying to do step ups, and I got a barbell, and I'm, stepping up and trying to just push with the last ounce of energy I have left. And he's there to tag up. He's there going, come on, give it your all, Come on, you got this. Step up. Nope. Don't half butt this. Come on, give it all your effort. And then when I get to the point of failure, he's there and he grabs the bar and he takes it off my back and he re-racks it. Right.
Yeah.
Our masterminds and our mentors act very much like that.
Yep.
We're pushing through the goal, and we're going, and we're giving it that last ounce of gas to get through the blockade, through that thing that we have to do. And they're there behind us going, listen, keep going. You got one more step to go. Come on, I got you. And then they're there to kind of encourage us. And so sometimes tagging up is that. You don't have anything left in the mental tank to push through, but you have a mastermind around you, or you have a mentor around you that they're that person to tag up until you build a bigger team.
Yeah, absolutely. So like even Saul here, right? To avoid using the word survival, which you shouldn't, because sometimes that's the situation. But I think what we've kind of stated here is healthy, being in touch with your own self, health, body, mind, making sure that you're not going to discontinue education, keep learning, keep growing, diagnose your company, your bottlenecks, make changes, small changes, nothing major. And then, as you said, surround yourself with an inner circle, right? People that are going to push you and nudge you, give you ideas when you're stuck, give you motivation, and hold you accountable, maximizing your opportunity. So if you're doing just those three things, which I'm not sure if there's others out there, but again, take care of your body, mind, identifying your workflow and your strategy and a healthy accountability team around you. Can the job and the company ever be that crazy? I don't think it can be survival if you're doing those things.
I agree.
And you don't have to go and spend massive amounts of time. This isn't some gigantic, those aren't 3 mountains that we have to climb in our journey to the summit. It's identifying that I got to stop eating like crap. I got to stop going to bed at 1 a.m. I have to start to develop good, healthy habits so that I'm alert, awake, and ready. Instead of wasting my brain power on this, read or listen to a book for 20 minutes a day. Now I'm seeing that on Facebook. You seen this thing? Like teaching people how to like manage your screen time. Now they're calling it micro learning or whatever. It's just crazy that this stuff has to be kind of told to us, but yet I'm not doing it very often and well. So I guess someone's going to make some money off teaching us how to read a book for 5 minutes a day, and you'll have 72 books at the end of the year. So again, doing all those things, I think, helps us with our strategy, which makes it different than survival.
For sure. Persevere, positive, you know. I mean, I always loved my coach Paul in the mindset. Mediocre gets a bad connotation, but it literally is a good thing, right? So if you use his analogy, if we think about climbing a mountain, right? Mediocre, you're halfway there. Like you have made it halfway there and you're on your way to the peak, right? And so sometimes it's just changing the language that we use, whether it's in our minds, whether it's what we speak out loud, whether it's what we write down, just changing that language from survival to persevere, right? Or endure, right? Just changing that language just a little bit. That might be enough to overcome that blockade in front of us. It might be enough to just kind of shift that mindset.
To be specific, what it'll do is create a positive problem-solving mindset, which will lead you to coming up with a solution to that bottleneck, to that challenge, right? And now you just have to follow through. And it could be an example could be like, yeah, I got to get someone to answer my phones for me. There's no way I can keep doing this. Interviews and running an ad and that's not the mindset. The mindset is run the ad, take 2 less calls for the next Tuesday and Thursday, and run those interviews in the afternoon. And while I'm waiting, develop a script, because I've been doing all the answering, and I have to teach them to tell them what I say. So if you don't have a script, so just write it down. Write down all the things it's going to take to solve that problem. Put them in the right order and get to work. The extra time you're going to put into it is developing those little tasks. But it only can happen if you have the mindset you were just talking about, Zach.
Do some introspection. Understand who you are. Because if you've taken the DISC or you've taken the color personality, you've taken any of those tests, right? And I'm going to use me for an example, because Doug and I are kind of other ends of the spectrum in the DISC profile. I am the very type D. Yeah, I'm a total dick. You just heard an example. If you listen to it very carefully, I looked at the big abstract, like the overarching, it's a mindset shift. You have to shift your mindset. And then Doug, very much the implementer, the integrator, just went and gave you a laundry list of stuff to do. So if you have a mindset like me, right, you need to find a Doug to kind of help you integrate that stuff, right? Doesn't mean you have to find it right away. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's a group like Jenny and EJ and I were all talking on Friday, and you had 3 different personality types up there. You had 3 different perspectives on it, and we were able to kind of come together and see different sides of the problem. So a mastermind is a great place if you have these different personality types in there. Someone else is going to see it differently, and they're going to kind of help you process through that. So definitely do some introspection. Figure out who you are as a leader in your company. Figure out what your blockage is, what your weak points in leadership are, and find someone to fill that gap, even if it's a mastermind, even if it's a mentor, even if it's both, right? In the interim. And then eventually You bring on people to your team. Doug has a weakness in his organization. He hired someone on to do it.
Yep.
So find that spot. You have to understand what your current reality is, and it's not a bad thing. Understand what your current reality is, and then you can begin to make that step by step, or have someone help you create that step by step plan to overcome, to get through these blockages, right? It's okay. We all know. We all know.
Dean Landers told me about this book, The 6 Working Geniuses, and something great that came out of it was that as a person, we can't be everything. The different personality styles and mindsets, we can't be them all. And this book broke it down to 6 types. And the author explains that it's very rare and probably impossible to be all 6, just because they're kind of like a polar opposites of each other. And so the question is the ones in the middle. So the author believes that most people are going to be about 2. The 2 of them are going to be their geniuses, that they are like with that. And then there's 2 that they're capable of doing. 2 of these mindsets, these task-orientated perspectives, that you can do it, but you find no joy in it. You could be great at it, but it doesn't fulfill you. Eventually, that will be your demise. You have to recognize that you got to find somebody for those areas, because you won't probably be able to sustain that for 10 or 20 years or a year, whatever you're looking at. And then there's two or 3 areas that you're going to be terrible at. No matter how hard you try and you read, your best version of yourself won't probably be enough. And so to identify and recognize where you're awesome at, where you're capable, but just because you're good at something, if you don't love it, if it doesn't fill you with joy, you're not going to keep on doing that at that level of excellence. So find people to help serve those capacities where you're weak, or you need to find someone. Imagine bringing someone on, Andrew Gasper, that fills a need that you can do, but you don't find excitement over, but they do. Holy cow, you just gave them a subscription, a lifetime membership to Disney World. They get to come to work and do the thing that brings them immense joy and pleasure and satisfaction. Give them that task. That for you, I can do it, but I just got to get it done, right? And it doesn't mean you got to build a team of 100 people to do all this. Start one step at a time. Where do you suck at? And bring someone on to fill that void there, and then just take it in pieces.
I love that. When we're talking about overcoming a blockage, find the absolute weakest point of your strengths, right? So like if we use it from the 6 personality types, right? So we have those 4 that we're pretty good at. Which ones are you absolutely the worst at? Like either they drain your energy so far, or you just are not capable of doing them. That's what I mean by introspection. Figure out who you really are, what your strengths are. Be honest. Do a SWOT of yourself. Figure out what your true strengths are and what your true weaknesses are, and then find someone to help you in those areas of weakness. Because what you're going to do is then that's their strong suit, and you're giving them energy, and you're giving them an opportunity to live out the thing that energizes them. And don't be the blockage in that, because I've seen in so many companies, you have a leader who brings someone in because they are weak in an area, and then they block that person from doing that thing. Yep. Don't be that person. Right. If you bring them in to do it, let them run. Put some boundaries in place, but let them run,
Sure.
let them implement what you've asked them to implement within those boundaries.
Yeah. There's got to be accountability and metrics for sure. Think about it like this. In a business like ours, if you wanted to put like heads of leadership, or who's responsible for what are the areas of responsibility? Service, which is sales, right? Then you got marketing. How do you make the phone ring? You have HR, payroll, things like that, right? You have bookkeeping. You got to know your profits, your profit margins, right? So that's just 4. There's probably 2 or 3 more that might involve in your business. Hiring someone, oh my gosh, that means I don't want to be a company that's 6, 10, 15 people deep. I'm not ready to do what Doug is talking about. It doesn't mean that you got to hire anybody. So for me, making the phone ring is not something I'm passionate about. And I watch and read on Facebook about backlinks and Google AdWords and local preferred, and my head just swims. I used to feel insecure and thought, if I can't hang with these guys, then I'm a fraud. No, I'm not. It's just not my thing. So guess what? I have a company that is incredible at it. They become the hands and feet. They report to me, and guess what? I'm learning as these experts are doing it well. Same thing goes with P&L and finance. I felt like a fraud. I don't know P&L at all. And I got to be talked through it each and every time I'm looking at it. I hired incredible bookkeeping service that all of you guys should have. And they represent us. They are our eyes and ears. They tell us what we need to see. And guess what? When we meet regularly, I'm getting better. I'm getting good at it. And I would tell you that in that area, finance, I would have thought I'm no good at it. That is a breakdown part, for me. I am now very capable, thanks to working alongside a vendor that I hired. So I didn't need to hire a finance person. I just needed to find a good partner in that inner circle. So that's what I think we all should be doing, is looking at our business. What are the areas that keep our businesses running? Who's in charge of each of those areas? To be strategic, to talk about, to think about, to plan for this year and next year and the year after. And if you're wearing all the hats, it's okay. But begin to think about how you can pass things off. If Andrew's on the screen, if Andrew is really good at Google and advertising, right? But
so he modified this. He modified this comment. I want to bring some clarity. I don't know my personality type, but I know I am not good at everything. So clarity there. I am not good at everything. So he hired a money manager immediately, then a receptionist for the phone. He's going to work on workload management next. Yep. So while he doesn't know his personality type, and I encourage you, Andrew, go do some research, go learn more about yourself. Because once you do, and once those things start to make sense, then you can really gain some traction. Not that you don't have traction now, but like it's just a whole different level once you begin to really truly understand. So, but I mean, this is the point that you're bringing up. If you're not great at these things, it doesn't mean you have to be an expert at these things, but you have to be proficient enough to have an understanding. And sometimes that comes by hiring someone on, whether it's an outside service or actually a physical member of your team, that can get you at least proficient enough to have some understanding. They might be the master at it, right? Like they may have a mastery of it, but they can get you to a point where you can at least have a comprehensive understanding of it. And that's important.
Like a Mike Carson. He doesn't just run your business for you. He talks with you. He guides you. He helps you try to understand it. Because first off, having a client that doesn't want to understand, that's like one of our worst kind of customers out there, right? They think it should be $200 to fix something, and you're trying to explain to them how that's just impossible, and they don't care, right? So Mike's a smart guy in the marketing world to realize that the owner has to put some energy into it and has to understand to some level so that they can realize the value that he brings. So he's not just a marketing guy, he's a teacher, he's an advisor, and that makes it work really well. So again, you just find an expert and bring them onto your team. That will help you. But good job, Andrew. That's really great that's very strategic. That is not survival mode, Andrew. That's you identifying bottlenecks, places that need to be strengthened and supported for a really strong foundation of, hopefully you, Andrew, working a 40-hour work week and having a team of people generating revenue and so that you can be with your family and have a healthy life. It's great.
The colors comes from Surrounded by Idiots. And EJ joked that I was attracted to the book because, type D personality, I think I'm surrounded by idiots. We are the personality that has that mindset sometimes. But it's called Surrounded by Idiots. It's a fantastic book that kind of talks through communication with these different personality types. So definitely worth reading into. And to Doug's point, if you don't have a company that is helping you, AMP Marketing is out there, and I am going to I'm going to drop a link here real quick, semi-selfishly. Let's see if it'll work. Go get a 60-minute consultation. I'm working alongside of Mike in AMP Marketing. So if you don't have a website, if you don't have a marketing company currently, book a 60-minute consultation. We'll go through all the options that AMP provides for you, and we'll get you signed up with the true master, Mike Carson. And the reason I went with him, right? The reason I'm working alongside of him, I believe in what he does. I was a client. I was one of his first appliance clients. And I watched that mindset. I was trying to do it all myself. I was trying to do the SEO and trying to build a site and and it was just like not my gifting. And I got to a point and I said, Mike, I know you know what you're doing. Here you go. And I turned the website and the marketing and all that piece over to him. And the growth that happened from him taking over managing that was just, it's amazing. So if you're out there struggling, you haven't signed up with him yet, come do a 60-minute exploration. Let's figure out what works for you. So that's in the comments.
Don't forget, Zach, once you handed that piece over to Mike, your energy, your thought, your direction is now building other parts of your business that needed to be built. So that's that collaboration.
I know we have a couple that watch that are cliented up with Mike, and I can tell you that was definitely the right choice for you guys. Fantastic at what he does. So this has been a good episode. I think we're kind of all over the place, but again, if you haven't done it, if you weren't in the last mastermind, go get those goals on it. If you're an all access member, servicealliancegroup.com. It is document number 80 in the SOP library. It's a goal sheet. It'll help you begin to get those goals on paper, because getting the goals on paper is a huge step. Getting them in front of you. Whenever you're watching, these goals are right here. I see them every single day. I can touch them every single day and begin to take steps through them, right? So not a member, servicealliancegroup.com. Next mastermind is Smart Budgeting, December 21st, right before Christmas, right before the new year. Perfect time to get that budget in place for 2021. I love talking budgeting. I love helping people get the money direction set straight so that they can go into the new year ready to rock and roll. So if you're not a member, servicealliancegroup.com. Doug, It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Always glad to have your bounce ideas off of.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, enjoy your week, guys, and we will catch you next time on the Morning Grind.